Uh, Today I would like to explain you how we can extract the data from PDF, something like this. I'll show you. Uh, how we can extract this data into CSV. So if you see, the data is something like this: code and plan holders and address and phone, valid for bid and DB type. So this is the data that we have in the PDF. Then our agenda is to extract this data into a CSV file with the help of Python. Alright, so let me tell you how we should do this and what are the prerequisites before we proceed for this. So I have already prepared one notebook here. For that I am just importing NumPy. If you don't have NumPy, you just need to install pip install NumPy. Then in the similar way you need to use pandas module. If pandas is not installed, then you have to uh, install pandas. So if I say the versions, I'll show you the versions, which versions you need to install. Let's take numpy dot hyphen hyphen version. Just a second. Yeah, so this is the numpy version, and we have imported pandas as pd. Right now if I want to see the pandas version, pd dot hyphen hyphen version, then this is the configuration. Like if you have numpy 1.26.3, then pd 2.2.0, then this this code should work. Then again I have imported tabula. So for that I will show you tabula. Let's say tabula python. So we have a documentation ready for tabula. For that we simply need to install uh, this tabula hyphen py. So for that you just need to, let me click on this get started, then it will show something. Yeah, so this is the command that you have to use. Simply you need to go here and copy this and control C and Windows R, then open command prompt, then simply type pip install tabula hyphen py, then it will install. So for me I have already installed this one, so I it is not required for me. So yeah, then, and if you see, if you want to use this tabula hyphen py module, we have to install Java and Python. If you see the requirement, this is the requirement as per the documentation of this tabula hyphen py. Okay, alright. So I mean, to install this Java, again you simply need to go to Java installation, then you will get one link, then click here, uh, then you will be redirected to this page, download, and then here there is one button, then you need to click on download. After downloading, simply you need to install this. Then after installation, for me it is already downloaded, so it is already installed. So after installation you simply need to add the path. So how can we find this path? Let me show. Let's say this is my projects, then inside that program files there is one option, I mean there is one folder called Java. Then here this bin, just go here and just copy this and then you need to go to settings, then just type environment variables, then just type environment variables, then it will be something like this. Then go here, then this is the system variables, and this is just for single user. So I want to add this path as system level, so just simply go here and select this path and double click here, then click here and click on new and add, because I have already added. This is my path, and then click on OK, then click OK. That's it. So the requirement for of Java is completed. Then simply go here, and then what we have to do is simply yeah, so I'm defining columns for my CSV file. These columns I'm taking from the PDF that I have. This is the PDF that I have shown you just now. So I have the code and plan holders and address and all those things. I'm just mentioning here. I have just created one list, Python list, with all the column names. Then I have created one function. This is the path into this function. This is the parameter. Then I'm using tabula.read PDF method. Then I'm passing a PDF path and then pages. Then it will return DFS. So this DFS is basically a list of data frames, simply you can say. So for that, let me explain you the next code. This is the PDF path I have. Then this is the function. I'm passing this PDF path here, and I'm getting DFS. DFS is list of all the data frames. So if I want to see, I'll uncomment it, and I'll execute it. Before that, I'll execute the top, and then alright. So now the code is running actually. So let me close this one, and I think this is also not required for us. Yeah, so if I click on this if we print this DFS, then it should show all the data frames in list format. Then before it prints, I'll go forward with next code. I have created one main underscore df, where I just created one empty data frame with columns as columns that I have defined in the top. Then I just have added that count equal to 1, just for the sake of counting the iterations. Then as I said, this DFS is a list of data frames. So if you see these are the data frames. See, if you see, it is starting with a bracket, so I can say that this is a list of data frames. So, and it is also ending with a bracket. So yeah, so that's what I want to say. Then I'm just iterating one by one data frame from DFS. Alright, then what I'm doing here, if I do this df in, otherwise I will run this one in one by one cell. I'm just copying here. If you see, this is the, let me print this, otherwise print df. Yeah, so if I go through one by one DFS of first data frame, this is the first data frame, and again if I see, this is the second data frame. Alright, so if you see what is happening here, this header is actually a row in the in our PDF, but what it is showing, it is by default taking it as header for this data frame. So what I have to do is I have to collect this header as row. So what I'm doing here, simply I'm collecting the columns data frame columns, I'm converting that into list. Then I'm keeping the variable name as list1. Then what I'm doing here, this is a extra condition that I will tell you in later, but for now just I'm just creating, I'm getting the list of this header, this header in the form of list. Then I'm converting this into a single data frame. That data frame name is mini df underscore 1. Then I have empty data frame, that is main df. Then what I'm doing, I'm just concatenating this mini df1 with main df. Then what, then in my data frame there are multiple rows, right? See here, this one is completed, this is converted into, this top header is converted into a row, a list, and I converted that into data frame, and then I added that into main data frame. That is fine. And what about rest of the rows? So rest of the rows, I am just what I'm doing here, simply I am just iterating for I in range of df dot shape of 0. Shape of 0 will give you the number of rows. So I'm iterating one by one row here. List 2, I just assigned the variable name is list 2, then equal to df dot iloc I and dot to list. Alright, then what I'm doing here, every time I'm iterating one by one row, then this condition I will tell you later, but let's proceed with next one. So mini df2, then I'm creating this list df this list 2 into one data frame, and I'm concatenating with main data frame. Alright, so yeah, in one iteration this entire data frame will be added into our main df. That is fine, so we won't get any issues. Sometimes in some data frames I have observed that here we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 columns, right? So in some data frames we are getting only 5 columns. This column is missing in some data frames. So out of all DFS, as I said, DFS is a list of data frames. Some data frames inside that this list are missing this column, one last column. So because of that I am getting an error. Why I am getting an error? Because I have defined these columns. There are 6 columns that I have defined, but when I try to concat this with main data frame, there is a mismatch with the columns. The expected columns are 6, but we are trying to add only 5. I'm talking about only some data frames. Alright, so to avoid that issue, what I'm doing here, if, as I said, this is the column list, right? This length of this columns dot to list must be 6. So if that is not 6, I am just appending one extra. As I said, I am just missing one in last column, right? So for that I am just adding one extra list, empty list item, I can say empty string list item. In the same way, this entire column is missing, right, for that particular data frame. So for that, here also what I'm doing for every row, if the list of length of the list is not 6, then what I'm doing here, I'm just appending one empty string, so that we won't get any issues with the columns. Alright, so yeah, what I'm doing simply here, I'm taking that header of one single data frame and converting that into list, and I'm again converting that list into data frame, and then I'm concatenating with main data frame. This is fine. Then after remaining rows, for that remaining rows, what I'm doing, I'm just iterating one by one row. Then I'm getting each row as a list. Then if that row has less number of, let's say not less, if that list contains less than 6 columns, then we are appending one extra column, extra list item, then I'm converting that into data frame, then I'm concatenating. So this is for one data frame. So similarly, inside this for loop, it will happen, it will continue to iterate and it will continue to add the data into main data frame. Alright, so after that I will get the main data frame. So if you want, let me run this and I will show you how it looks. Just a second, I think I missed something here. Alright, so I will run this first, then I will show you the main underscore df. So my main df looks like this. Now I have 749 rows from this PDF. Then if I see the last one, I'm taking last 10 records. If you see, and I am also taking, I'm going here, see, if you see, we have Michiana, Morphe and Hawk, right? So in the same way, we have Michiana, Morphe and Hawk. So it means that this script, this code has extracted the data. all the data. So this is the end of the document. Fine. So the next thing is we have the main data frame, then we have to convert this data frame into CSV file. So simply we need to use two CSV method, and I'm passing index equal to false to avoid this 0 1 2 3 and extra numbers, indexing numbers. Then oh, that's it. Then if I execute this data frame will be converted into CSV file. Then, and if I want to see the data, I'll show you that. So this is the data. Otherwise, let's open with notepad. As I don't have Excel file, sorry, Excel application. So yeah, this is the CSV that we are looking into. So if you open with Excel, then it would look in much nicer way. Fine. So yeah, I think that's all about this project. So if you have any confusion, feel free to comment it down and do subscribe. Thanks.